Hey, in this video we're going to talk about Agnes, Minecraft's newest lead game director. She joined Mojang on the 3rd of August 2016. Her very first project was a llama. Agnes made it after Jeb asked players to choose between an alpaca and a llama. To be honest, she didn't get it very well. The first pancake is always spoiled. What are the things to look out for? The mob has great details, and Agnes is very good at making detail for all sorts of mobs. But the llama in particular was quickly replaced in the same version when the shulker boxes were added. After the llama, Agnes made a turtle in 1.13, and everyone already agrees that this mob is much better and more useful than the last one, and that's cool. The turtle itself is a very interesting mob with its own mechanics and details. And what's cool is that this time those mechanic details give you a new item that allows you to breathe underwater. In addition to the turtle in 1.13, there are also ruins, which add to the atmosphere and interest of the oceans and icebergs. Not the most beautiful biome, but better in my opinion, and I cannot think of one. Well, and two interesting mechanics from her that are still used to this day is the mechanic of climbing on bubbles with the help of soul sand, and fast traveling on boats, which was originally a bug, but she later decided to leave it. I was unable to find any information on 1.14 and 1.15, but I know for a fact that it was she who dealt with the Crimson and Warped Forest in 1.16. As far as I'm concerned, these are the best atmospheric biomes in Nether, thanks to the trees, particles, and soundtrack. It would seem that after 1.16, Agnes became the main game director, replacing Jeb. But in fact, by the time of 1.15 and 1.16, he was no longer doing major updates, only the combat update. Officially, Agnes was announced as lead designer in May 2021, but she actually became one in April 2020. It's just that she wasn't the one who chose the theme for the update. If 1.15 is just a great update that fixed optimization, then 1.16 is still considered by people to be the best update ever. That's a great result. A lot of people didn't even know that their favorite version wasn't made under Jeb's leadership. Well, according to all the canons of this planet and this universe, after something very good there is always going to be shit. So out come the caves and cliffs, and by shit I mean reputation, because the quality of this update is pretty high. We have completely overhauled the world generation, added a bunch of decorative blocks, and basically started a new era of the game. This is a way of improving the overworld. It sounds cool in words, but there were a lot of problems during development. Firstly, the original plan was to update the generation of just the mountains. But when Agnes realized there was so much more potential, she decided to remake the whole thing. I think it was the right decision, but it required a lot more effort. So almost all the developers had to be involved to focus just on generation. But there is another problem. The code for this generation was written almost from the birth of the planet, which is a very long time ago, so they had to rewrite it almost completely, and that took a lot of time. In the end, the developers managed to make the generation awesome, but they had to sacrifice a lot of additional mechanics and, most importantly, reputation. After such an update, which was only useful for the builders, Agnes had to restore the balance, along with the survival elements, and add something for the players. In the caves and cliffs they promised to add Warden, and it was added in 1.19 along with the cool dungeon. This boss that the structure is very awesome and walk there is a pleasure. Also added Mangrove Swamp, which looks very atmospheric, especially with shaders. And frogs were designed by Agnes, by the way. A seemingly good update, coming out in only 4 months. So what could go wrong? Fireflies. They weren't added for the well-known reason that they're harmful to frogs, but they could have been added for atmosphere at least. Unfortunately, the miracle didn't happen. They've been postponed indefinitely. But Microsoft knows how to show up on time. So, after removing fireflies from 1.19 and separating caves and cliffs, why not start making reporting systems?
What?
Agnes had nothing to do with this. She couldn't influence it in any way. It's just a requirement. In fact, the system just exists. But people are so upset. It's like they've been locked in a cage for days, almost foreshadowing the end of Minecraft. And as a result of unfair Java bans, well, at most 1 or 2 for all time. After the separation of caves and cliffs, the 1.19 porting issues, and the reporter system, it came to a point where Agnes changed her development tactics. It was no longer what it used to be. Now, from that moment on, what we see at Minecon is something that is 100% developed, and the content that we get in the snapshots is going to surprise us. This is an unexpected decision, and it is also a very bold one, because it is clear that the players are not satisfied with what they have shown, or rather, that they have shown very little, and that it is now up to the developers to do in the snapshots what no one could have predicted, and at the same time, what the players will love, because Minecon would not have been held even if Microsoft did not need it. After all, it is necessary to talk about the games that are being developed in parallel in order to interest vanilla players with less quality content. Agnes managed to get out of the situation and explain more clearly on the show what and how the game will be. Let's be honest, now compared to Jeb and Notch, most people don't like Agnes. One of the reasons is that she is.
Women.
And I'm not kidding. When she became lead designer, a lot of people argued about feminism in Minecraft. And the other, more popular one, is that Minecraft is going through some bad times right now. But the funny thing is that Minecraft has always, under all developers, gone through bad times. When Notch was around, it was in the post-release period, where players would get a year's worth of content. But it wasn't as big and important, and it wasn't fully unlocked, like basically almost all of the additions in the early stages of Minecraft, and it wasn't very cool. In Jeb's time, it was 1.8, which had been in development for a year and a half, and again, there wasn't as much content added as there could have been. Well, it's the same situation with Agnes now. We are getting quite a lot of content, but less than what was announced. That's why there's so much hate. We've had 3 updates where we've got content that we knew about 6 months or a year before the update. Now, like all Agnes development in the past, it is at the stage where it solves the main problem that players are unhappy about. Right now, we can see that the developments are going to keep us happy with new content. At the same time, all the information will be out of the field for half a year, and that is very cool. Well, if you would like more content like this, please subscribe and like this video. Thanks for watching. Bye.